I'm Dr. Noah St. John. My website is noahstjohn.com, just like it sounds, NOAHSTJOHN.com. Noah St. John. Easy to remember. I got both books covered, just in case. I've got the New Testament and the Old Testament. We got them both covered, just in case. But what I do is I help people make a lot of money. I help people get more time back in their lives. I'm known as the father of affirmations. I know that's something we're going to be talking about. And I'm also known for helping people make more in just 12 weeks than they made in the past 12 months while winning back 1 to 3 hours a day and 4 to 8 weeks in their year. And the reason I mention that, Chuck, is because, it's one thing if I were to say, hey, I'm going to help you make a lot more money. And people go, great. How do I do that? Well, all you have to do is hustle and grind and work 10 times harder, never take any breaks, don't see your family, don't go on vacations, and just keep your nose to the grindstone all the time. How's that sound? And they're like, well, that doesn't sound very great. I mean, no, that kind of sucks. I'm like, exactly. That's not what we want. We want money. Of course we want money. But we also want time, right? We want to have our life back. I mean, that's what I see so many people struggling with is, working all the time. They're just running on this treadmill, but they're really not getting anywhere. And so, we've got thousands of stories of people that we've helped to make a lot of money, but I feel more importantly is really win their lives back.
Yes, I agree. Because time is precious. We've heard that. Time is invaluable, and you can't put a dollar on time. Once it's gone, it's gone. Can't get it back.
That's right. I like to say all of Bill Gates' billions can't buy 1 minute of yesterday, right? Yep. So I know everybody's focused on making more money, and again, that's perfectly fine and correct. But the question then becomes, well, what are you sacrificing to get that money? And so I really am very adamant about the fact that we want you to put better systems in place so that you can not only have more money, but yes, have more time. And so one of the statements I agree with and that I like to make is we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our habits and systems. So when you don't have the right habits and systems in place, well, you can have all the goals that you want. And that's one of the reasons why, for example, New Year's resolutions really don't work for most people. They set all these, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get organized, I'm going to make money, but they don't really, we weren't taught how to do this in school. And so that's why so many people struggle. And that's why, that's what one of the things I help people with.
Okay. So how and why did you get into helping people? What is it about you that makes you such a great person? Because I can tell by the personality, you are a fantastic person. So was there just an aha moment where you said, you know what, I'm going to spend some of my life really helping out those in need? Or was it a gradual thing?
Well, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And I know that's a total cliche. I know that, but it's true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because I grew up in a little drafty, unfinished home at the bottom of a dirt road. And my parents actually ended up losing that house to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family, right? And, you hear motivational speakers or gurus, and they say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy, it sucked. And so I hated that life of poverty. I hated being poor, and I hated, knowing that I was poor in relation to all these other rich people. And so I from a very young age, I hated being poor. And so I went to the library and just read every book that I could on how to make something of my life. This was before the internet, of course. So, all we had was the library, and I just read every book that I could. But the sad thing is I really couldn't get them to work. As hard as I tried, as hard as I worked at it, I just really couldn't make it work. So at the age of 25, I actually decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed, so frustrated after working so hard with really nothing to show for it. Now, at the very last minute, my life was spared. I share that story in my books and in my online courses and so forth. But basically, I went on a journey to find what is my purpose here on the earth. And I went back to the library, read lots of spiritual books. And then in 1997, 25 years ago, over 25 years ago now, I had two aha moments that actually changed my life when I discovered really what was missing in the traditional success literature, that was available. And so that's when I wrote my first book, which was entitled Permission to Succeed, back in 1998. And then that was published by Chicken Soup for the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher in '99. And since that time, I published 17 books. My 18th and 19th books are coming out this year. Maybe even my 20th books. I might go for it and publish 3 books in this year. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's really what happened. It really came from a place of frustration and pain and wanting to get out of that. And then once I realized that I'm not alone in that, not by a long shot. There's millions and millions of people who have a similar story to mine, right? Who, have been working really hard at this stuff. Like, for example, I get a lot of people who've been to all the gurus, all the seminars. They spent, tens of thousands of dollars, and yet they're still stuck. They've reached a plateau and they can't understand why they can't break through. And, when I work with people, they really get this hockey stick growth, just like really, really fast, like, growing very, very quickly. And we have lots and lots of examples of that, but really that's what's very satisfying, to see people when the light bulbs go on and you go, oh, and they say, oh my gosh, I've been studying this for so long and I've never heard this before. This is really different and it really, really works.
So is part of all this, that frustration and everything, what you call your head trash, is that part of this?
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah. So that's one of my books. It's called Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. But Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. Actually, everybody watching this program and listening, you get this book for free. You can get it for free it's sendmeabooknoah.com. Very easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com. And I will send you a book. The book is free. And we just ask you to cover the shipping. So it's sendmeabooknoah. But yeah, so head trash. This is, one thing that I'm known for is teaching people about why why they've reached that plateau, and no matter what they do, no matter how hard they work, they're just not able to get through that or break through that. Yeah. And so head trash, what I teach in my books and in my coaching is that voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... right? Mm-hmm. And then you just fill in the blank. So, for everybody listening to the program, think about your goals, right? What are your goals for the next 12 months? And people say, well, I want to make more money. I want to lose weight. I want to, start my own business. I want to write a book, whatever your goals might be, right? But then what happens for millions of people is they say, well, yeah, I really want that, but I don't think I can do it because, right? And then they give all the reasons, all the excuses, right? Well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I can't afford it. My spouse won't let me do it. I'm married. I'm divorced. I have kids. I don't have kids. I'm a Martian. Whatever. We come up with all these excuses, don't we? And what's so funny about that is when you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. All right. So that's one of the aspects of head trash, is just identifying really what's going on in there. And then, of course, we use a systematic approach to take out your head trash. And, that's one of the reasons we get, real hockey stick results. I'll give you a quick story. I had one client, and he was his company, he's a CEO, and his company was at about 4 million in revenues. And you're like, well, what's the problem with that, right? That sounds great. But what's interesting is he had been stuck at that same level for 4 years. 4 years, because they grew really fast, and then they've just been like this, like flatline, stuck for 4 years. And he had thrown literally hundreds of thousands of dollars at the problem, and yet nothing else had ever worked. No other guru or marketing guys or whatever, it just wasn't working. Well, so he hired me. I worked with him for a year, and in that 1 year, his company went from being plateaued for the previous 4 years to over 20 million in sales. Wow. In 1 year. That's a 6 times increase. And you know what's so funny about that? We didn't talk about marketing. We didn't talk about sales. We didn't talk about traffic or funnels or any of that other stuff. Not that that's wrong or anything. It's just all we worked on was taking out his head trash, and just with that, hockey stick.
Well, that sounds all not reasonable, but true, because we often give ourselves all the reasons to fail, but never all the reasons to succeed. Like you said, we're giving all these excuses, and those are your reasons to fail, and then it's stuck in your head, and there you go. Right. You fail. So,
right.
Gosh, if I could grow any of my businesses 6x, that would be fantastic.
Nice, huh? Well, we'll talk about that, Chuck. I certainly can help you too. I mean, and that, you're right. And see, what's amazing about the human being is we have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right, right? And so when you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them, right? And so, if people say, well, no, I want to start my business, I want to grow my business, I want to scale my business, but I can't do it because, right? Whatever comes after the word because is what you believe and what you will defend to the death because you want to make yourself right. And people say, but no, 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 no. I really want money. I want to be successful. And I'm going, really? Do you? Would you rather be rich or would you rather be right? And for millions of people, unconsciously, they'd rather be right. So that's what I love working with, people who are like saying, okay, I've tried all this stuff and I'm willing to be wrong in this case because I don't want to be right anymore. I don't want to be right about keeping my own limitations. No, help me take out this trash and, let's get that scale going. And it's pretty awesome because when people let go of their limitations, sometimes it can be very emotional because, they've had either traumatic events, which, I mean, it's hard to get to any, age really in the world today and not have something traumatic or painful or have loss happen. And so what happens is we get so emotionally attached to that loss and that trauma that we can't, many times overcome it. That's why, for example, I share my story of attempting suicide because I want people to realize that, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I don't think I even had a spoon at all, let alone silver. But I mean, the point is, I know what it's like to be at the depths of depression and really decide to not want to be here on earth anymore. So, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like it's something that when you read your book, you need to make a shift in your thought process in your mind and give yourself permission to succeed.
That's right.
Gee,
that's right.
Everything's coming back to your books and everything that you have already
done
and
taught.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. That's why I wrote all these. I don't know if you can see these back here, but these are just a few of my books. But yeah, I did. I wrote all these books because I needed them. I did it because I looked everywhere. I literally looked everywhere. I read every book out there, and I'm like, just as another example, we talk about self-sabotage, right? A lot of people talk about self-sabotage or get out of your own way, right? Or whatever. And yes, that's true. And a lot of people need that. But, prior to my work, prior to my coaching and, what I teach, my system, do you know what the solution was for self-sabotage? In other words, if you're sabotaging yourself, do you know what they said before me? Well, if you're sabotaging yourself, don't do that. Wow. Thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you. I feel so much better now, Why didn't I think of that? So that's why you want to say, seriously, dude? I mean, come on. No, that's not it. And so the point is that sabotage, what's interesting and, what I identify, in my trainings is that self-sabotage is a symptom. That's not the cause, right? So they're treating it as a cause when it isn't. It's exactly like, imagine if you have a toothache, right? Let's say your tooth hurts. You're like, oh man, geez, this really hurts. And so what do? You go to the dentist and then it says, yep, yeah, you got a cavity there. And you're like, yeah, well, it really hurts. And he goes, okay, well, here, have some pain pills and, good luck. And like, wait a minute. No, I mean, it's not like I want to have a cavity, but I got to, this happened. So can you fix it? Oh, yeah. So sure, just take some pain pills and then you won't feel it anymore. Like, wait a minute. No, that's not the solution. All you did was put a Band-Aid on it. No, we got to fix the damn problem. We got to really go in there. And, sometimes, that's what I was saying a moment ago, it can be emotional. And, sometimes we get, grown men in tears sometimes because they're like, oh my gosh, I had another client and he'd been studying this stuff. He told me that he had gone to personal growth seminars and all those gurus for over 30 years. He actually had I think like a PhD or an MD or something or other. He got this advanced degree from some college. And I worked with him for 12 weeks. We have a program called the 12-Week Breakthrough, where I help people make more in 12 weeks than they did in the past 12 months while winning their lives back. So he said, no, you taught me more in 12 weeks than I did than I learned in 30 years of going to all these other guys. And I'm like, okay, well, great. I'm happy for it. And then now he's in real estate. He went on to do multi-million and then multi-billion-dollar deals. So you talk about hockey stick. I mean, we have all of these stories and many, many more on our website. So, I mean, and like you said a moment ago, these sound incredible, but they're all real people, real stories. And what's really exciting to see is that the person who has or had spent all this money on all these other programs, and they really were stuck because those other guys are just talking at the surface level. Here's a pain pill. No, that's not going to solve the problem. So we really get to the root of the cause, and then hockey stick.
And it sounds like to me that a lot of this that you're talking about has to go along with your unconscious habits, right?
Right.
It's you don't even know that you're doing it, but you're doing it and you're
That's right.
sabotaging yourself. So you're sabotaging or setting yourself up for failure. Well, let's just hope that it's not what you're always used to. But I think that unconscious habit just has a way of just sneaking right in there and causing us to derail at some point. Can you talk a little bit more about the unconscious habits? Maybe
Yes.
how you can break one of them or something?
Yes, absolutely. So this leads to another one of my books. I won't hold up all my books, I promise. But this is another book called Power Habits. And again, all this is available at our website. If you go to noahstjohn.com, you can just see all of our different books and trainings. But anyway, it's called Power Habits, the new science for making success automatic. And so what I realized is that highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that they are, number one, not aware of, and therefore, number two, they can't teach it. This is yet another reason why so many people come to me after they've gone all those gurus and the gurus and the marketing guys, and they're all just saying stuff like, well, you can do it. Believe in yourself. Set your goals. Think positive. And you're like, thank you. Yeah, that's so helpful. I never thought of that. Anyway, so the point is that that's not that wrong exactly, but it also doesn't help, right? It's like, imagine if you're driving in your car, right, and you're in like an unknown place and you haven't been there before, and all of a sudden your phone, you don't have service and your GPS isn't working, and you're like, shoot, I guess I'm kind of lost. So you pull over the side of the road and you see someone there, and you roll down your window and you say, excuse me, can you tell me where I am? And they say to you, yeah, you're in a car. Okay, that's not wrong, but it's also not very helpful, right? So that's kind of what the gurus are like. They're like, yeah, you're in a car. I'm like, thank you. Yeah, that's not really what I was looking for there, buddy. Anyway, so what I teach that's different is these, I call them the power habits of unconsciously successful people. So when we humans want to master any habit, we actually go through 4 stages of competence. The first is unconscious incompetence. That means you don't know you don't know. The second phase is conscious incompetence. It means you don't know. The third stage is conscious competence, which is you now you know. And then the fourth stage and final stage is unconscious competence, which is you do without thinking. So it's like driving a car, right? We all actually went through these 4 stages. First, you didn't know how to drive a car. Then you realized, wait, I don't know how to drive a car. Then you learned how to drive a car, right? You had training and stuff, driver's ed and so forth. And then, of course, now today, for most people listening to the program, you drive a car and you don't think about it. You're literally not thinking. You're doing 27 other things, but you're actually not thinking about driving a car. So it's exactly like that. What I discovered that's different is it's exactly like that with this phenomenon called success. These highly successful people, the 1%, have become unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. And that is precisely why what the gurus teach isn't wrong, but it's also completely unhelpful.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why so many people come to me after they spend all this money on all these gurus that don't say anything wrong, but they also don't say anything that helps. And therefore, they come to me and, again, I've given you several examples. I could give you hundreds more. But that's the point, is that it's a lot of, this is one of the reasons why, people say about my work that my work starts where Napoleon Hill's left off, right? Because if you know Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, which, millions of people have read for the last 100 years. And what Napoleon Hill did a century ago was he interviewed all these men, and of course they're all men, how to be successful. Well, you do this, 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 and this. Oh, okay. So do this, 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 and this, and you'll be successful. Well, how come millions of people have read that book and not everyone is successful? Because they left out the good stuff, right? And we all know the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of success is basically about, but this is more like 96-4, right? That there's this 4%, there's this little tiny slice that these people are doing that is allowing them to succeed, but they don't even know they're doing it. They are literally unconscious. And I can prove that because I've interviewed so many millionaires and multimillionaires, even a few billionaires, and I'll ask them, have you ever noticed that you do this? Yeah, you're right. I do that. I never thought of that before. Boom, you just proved my point. You're unconscious. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. You see, but that's great for them, but how about the rest of us? So that's what my work is literally a bridge between these unconscious people and the rest of us.
Something I heard about as far as doing things unconsciously, letting your subconscious do it, or however you want to put it. But I heard there are more people who became wealthy who used to get up in the morning, and they still do, and make their beds because they got into this positive routine of something. So these are all really pretty much profound. It's like, you mean if I do something like that, if I put myself into a positive habit, it's going to help my life down the road in other things, which is, yes, you're getting that negative permission to fail, pushing that out a little bit. So I do like all of that. So what about, does willpower do anything? You hear about people saying, well, I'm going to do it. I've got the power. I've got willpower. I'm going to do it. But that's not really the case, right?
Well, this is interesting because did you know that every year, 83% of Americans set a New Year's resolution, like, getting organized or losing weight or starting a business or whatever, but only 8% actually succeed. I mean, that's a pretty bad number, right? That's not very good odds, right? So my job, part of my mission is to, stack the odds in people's favor. So the point is that we were never trained how to do this, right? We weren't trained how to, do the right habits or certainly not have power habits or unconscious habits or any of the things that I've, been teaching for the last 25 years. And so the point is, why doesn't it work, right? So let's look at what willpower actually is and why it's not very effective to changing your habits or really getting results, all right? So imagine that you're in your kitchen and somebody brings in a plate of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. Right, and it just came out of the oven, and you can see them, and you can smell them, and your mouth starts to water, and you see the steam kind of rising up. You're like, oh man, that looks really good, right? It smells great, and you're like, right? And so then the person says to you, okay, now do not eat a cookie. Now I'm gonna leave. I gotta go, but I'm gonna leave these cookies here. Don't eat a cookie, all right? Whatever you do, do not eat a cookie because they're for later. I'm saving them, and you can't have a cookie, all right? And they leave, and then what are you gonna do? Of course, you're going to eat like 12 cookies.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Right? I mean, you're going to be like a cookie monster, right? And you're going to go crazy. That's what willpower is like, right? It's like literally you saying to yourself, don't do this. And then what does your brain want to do? That, right? We humans don't like to deny ourselves of anything, right? So that's why willpower, again, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's a very weak muscle, right? You're trying to lift a 250-pound barbell, with one finger. It's pretty hard, all right? So what I teach that makes it different is these power habits, right? So one example is, what is a habit? And so a habit is actually comprised of 5 stages. And just very briefly, they are the cue, routine, the reward, the craving, and belief. And again, you can read more about that in my book. But basically, the cue is the trigger that happens in your life. The routine is what you do. The reward is what happens in your brain. The craving is what happens as a result of that reward. And then finally, the belief is what is established in your mind body that related to the specific habit. So let's take a very classic example of procrastination, right? Procrastination is one of the biggest habits that people, come to me, they hire me, and they say, hey, no, I know I have all this stuff I want to do, but I keep procrastinating, right? I keep doing something else. And see, that's the funny thing about procrastination. Procrastination isn't just not doing something. It's not doing the very thing would help you, the very thing that would actually benefit you, right? And so the point is, you have let's say you have an idea to do that thing that would help you in your business or help you in your health or lose weight or in your relationship or whatever your goal might be, right? You think of doing that thing, and then what do? You do something else, right? You do exactly something else, right? Oh man, I should really, write that article. I should start my book. I should build my funnel. I should, call that client or that prospect or whatever it is. I wonder what's on Netflix, right? That's what happens, right? The brain literally goes like that, and then you have literally a reward in the brain for staying safe. See, the human brain, the human being, has a very strong craving for safety. Right? We want to be safe. In other words, we want to not die. And this goes back to ancient times, right? When there was something that we were afraid of, it might kill you, right? It could be a saber-toothed tiger in the bushes there, right? And so, of course, there's not many saber-toothed tigers lying around these days, but it doesn't matter because your brain still feels the same way, right? So these are ancient, thoughts or even, pre-thoughts back there. And it's called the limbic brain back. I'm pointing to the back of my head here, because that's where the ancient brain is. And so the point is, that's why you can, say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I mean, another great example. Have you ever noticed that the gyms are full on January 2nd and by January 30th, they're empty again? This is why. This is exactly why. So, I've helped my clients make a lot of money, but I've also helped a lot of people lose a lot of weight. I mean, literally, there was, for example, one client, and she had been told her whole life she was obese. She was over 400 pounds when she hired me, over 400 pounds. I mean, that is obese, but she'd been told since she was a little kid she's going to be fat her whole life. How's that for head trash,
Mm-hmm.
So I helped her, to first of all identify that and take it out, and using her power habits. So she lost over 200 pounds, in literally just a matter of months, and she's kept it off for the past 10 years.
Wow.
So this is not like a quick fix thing that goes up and down. And same with money or relationships or health or whatever it is. What I often say is that wherever you point the system, it works. It gets results, because where are you not using habits? You're always using habits in every area of your life. And that's why, it's a very customized approach, for each client, for each person that we work with.
I'm glad you're putting all that in there and saying about your weight and different habits and things like that to make things positive, because this is not just about being monetarily successful. This system of yours will help you in your everyday life, which is so great. Right. So you have also affirmations.com. Can you give us all of your social media stuff? Can you blurt it out? Let us know where we can find you, where we could get your free book, everything, where we can buy your books.
Absolutely. Okay, so the place to start is sendmeabooknoah.com for the head trash book. This is free plus shipping. Again, the book is free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. Sendmeabooknoah.com. The best place to go for my social media, if you just Google Noah St. John, you'll find me everywhere. But the best place is my YouTube channel, which is watchnoahtv.com. Also easy to remember, Watch Noah TV. And I have literally over 800 videos on all these different subjects. And if you go to our main website, which is noahstjohn.com, you can learn all about this. And I'll give you one more quick one, which is freegiftfromnoah.com. There you go. There it is. Free gift from Noah. Easy. All this is easy to remember, right? Free gift from Noah. That's a new 29-page report that I did. So you can download a free report, as well as watch video training on how I help my clients make more in just 12 weeks than they made in the past 12 months, while winning back 1 to 3 hours in their day and 4 to 8 weeks in their year. So if you want to make more money and have your life back, have more time, freegiftfromnoah.com is a great place to start.
Freegiftfromnoah.com. I mean, getting time back is so much needed, I think. It's We're always losing track of time, whether we're losing track of time inadvertently because we're wasting time on something else, because we're procrastinating, we didn't get to doing what we're supposed to do. But to learn how to make these habits to get that time back, I think is super, super important, because then now you can spend more time possibly doing the things that you love to do. Spend time with your dog, with your family, or whatever it might be, or watching more Netflix.
Watch more Netflix, whatever. As long as you're not doing it to procrastinate, you can do whatever you like. And what's cool is, when you set up these automated systems that I also talk about, you can actually be making money while you're, playing golf or doing, play in your garden or playing with your dog or whatever you're doing. You're actually, that's where you can literally make money in your sleep. When we set up these automated systems. So, I mean, it all goes together, and it's really very powerful. And frankly, for everybody that we've worked with over the last 20 plus years, they find that they're making a lot more and while exactly working less, and that really is the dream. If you think about it, that's the dream.
Yeah. Can we touch just a few minutes on affirmation? What is affirmation? Where does it come from? Does somebody give it to us? Do we give it to ourselves? So there's got to be a book out there on that.
You think? You think? There it is. There it is in my hand. It's Afformations. I don't know if you can see this, but it's AFFORMATIONS. You can go to afformations.com. It's not affirmations. It's Afformation. So this is something that I invented 25 years ago when I realized that the old way of doing things just really wasn't working. And so an affirmation, right, the old way, is a statement of something you want to be. So a classic affirmation, for example, is, you say, I am rich. You say, I am rich, and your brain goes, no, you're not. Right? And so we really don't believe these statements. In fact, a scientific study actually showed that 75% of people who use the old affirmations technique actually end up more frustrated than before. So imagine if you had a cell phone that didn't work 75% of the time, right? You'd probably trade it in for something better, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So that's what I invented a better phone, which is Afformations, okay? Afformations. And what Afformations are empowering questions that engage the embedded presupposition factor of the brain So you, instead of say something like, I am rich, I'm happy, I'm successful, your brain goes, yeah, right, right? You ask a question like, why am I so successful? Why am I so happy? Why am I always in the right place at the right time? And by virtue of the embedded presupposition factor of your brain is automatically searching for answers to questions. So the wonderful, fantastic, and transformational part of my affirmations method is you're already doing it. You're literally already doing this. But number one, you haven't been trained how to do it properly because, of course, I'm the only person that teaches this. I'm the father of affirmations. And number two, most people, I mean, literally, almost everyone you meet is doing it in a very negative way. Like, why am I so stupid? Why can't I do anything right? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I ever lose weight? And so when you ask negative questions, what do you get? You get negative answers, and that leads to negative results. So now, using my affirmations method, I teach you how to flip those questions to positive, empowering ones. And that is one of the reasons why we've helped people make a lot of money, lose a lot of weight, find love, and all these amazing things. So affirmations.com, and you can learn all about my affirmations advantage.
I'm going to make sure I put all these links and everything in the description so folks will have that. And again, this one I think is, well, they're all important, but the affirmations is very important. I think about it as setting ourselves up to succeed because we're telling ourselves we're going to succeed. And once again, going back to that permission type of thing, we're giving ourselves permission to do all this. So Dr. Noah St. John, this has been fantastic. It's not a Monday morning, but it feels like a Monday. So whenever whoever's watching, listening, and no matter what day of the week or time it is, this is all positive affirmation for you to give yourself permission really to succeed. So
yes,
thank you very much for this. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do know that I need to make some changes in this rock up here.
I'll be happy to help you with that, Chuck, and anyone else who is listening to the program. Be sure to come to the website. Let me know you heard me on this show here, and we'll be sure to take fantastic care.